So, first of all, welcome, and thank you for coming, and I applaud you for your courage to be here today. These events are put on whether it's rain or shine, which is nice because we've had some crazy rain, right? So we're here for relationships in the fifth dimension. So when we started thinking about this event, it occurred to us that given the shift that was taking place, that is taking place rather, that everything is being challenged, I guess is the way to put it. And relationships is obviously an important component of that shift because people progress or change at different paces, different speeds. And familiar with the analogy of the crabs in the basket? The crab crawls out of the basket and the others try to pull it down. So that's something that has been on my mind, if you will. But the beauty of it is that sometimes we can tend to get lost lost in the darkness of the tunnel, forgetting that there's light at the end of it, and that's the light that we're going towards. So these relationships are very, very crucial to all of us as human beings, if you will. Critical that we understand how to improve on relationships. And it happens through a variety of practices. Obviously, being a proponent of Qigong, I know that that alters the energy and the vibration of the individual. But I don't want you to take my word for it. We have experts here on the panel today, right? That are going to take us through some of these things. So I'll introduce them one by one. It's my honor today to introduce you to Lourdes Starshower. She's an advanced certified Tantra educator. I hope you caught her presentation earlier this morning. It was really awesome. She's also a sacred sexuality coach, ordained minister, clairvoyant, energy healer, clinical hypnotherapist, co-founder of the Ecstatic Dakini Practitioner Training Institute, which she holds twice yearly, and certifies at this retreat women. So it's something you want to consider if you haven't those. And you've had several successful ones already this year, right? I saw there was quite a lot of participation. It was awesome. Congratulations. She also conducts private practitioner training for men and women. She's the author of a double DVD set titled Tantra Practices for Divine Ecstasy. And this is something that's a little controversial for most people, I would think. And even for me to just say, how does divinity have anything to do with sexuality? But if you read more into it and understand it better, the connection to Shen energy, for those that are familiar with Chinese lore, can be achieved at a very high level through sexuality. So I'm going to move on to talk about Bruce Starr. You probably will. All right. So here we go.
Sit here for a moment while you introduce the
No, you're good. I'm just hunkered in. That's all. So Bruce has been around for a good number of years doing his specialty. Bruce has been very supportive of this event, actually. You know, this community has come together in a very big way. And he's had me on a couple of Facebook live video shows. Maybe you caught some of them. I know that it's been watched hundreds of times. I think we're
over 700.
No, I think we're about 1,400 looks, so it's quite high. And you know, when you're passionate about something, it's very easy for that to come through and hear about it. So this is the manifestation right now. And he's been for the last 42 years self-studying different philosophies of life. He studied the Course in Miracles with Marianne Williamson, and traveled the country speaking about relationships many times with Saul Steinberg, the original publisher of A Course in Miracles. For several years he attended Agape Church in Los Angeles with Reverend Michael Beckwith. He was seen on The Secret and also on Dr. Oz. And he studied with and was mentored.
Not me. Michael Beckwith.
Bruce.
I'm not in the secret.
And Bruce studied with and was mentored by perhaps the leading expert on relationships, including Dr. Pat Allen, seen on Millionaire Matchmaker and Patty Stanger, and many others. So we thank you for being here today. We really appreciate it. And it's my honor to introduce Master Teresa. Master Teresa is my Qigong master. She's come down from Toronto to support us here today. I'm very honored to share.
You should have a picture together.
Yeah, yeah, we will. I've been,
So hi everyone.
Master
Take
Teresa.
pictures. We'll take
I've been following Master Teresa for about 15 years and learned quite a bit with regard to Qigong and also the Fa Qi. Fa Qi is the energy healing work that one does on the Chinese end of the spectrum. And I'm very honored that you're here. Thank you so much. Deborah Paiva, I just get this up here, I'm sorry. Deborah is somewhat multidimensional in all the things that you do, right? It's so amazing. I know that your book is coming out soon, yes? What's the title on that?
Very soon. Heal Your Heartache, 5 Steps to Reclaim Your Life After a Breakup, Divorce, or Loss of a Partner.
So Deborah is a board-certified health and wellness life coach, speaker, and author. She helps her clients to heal the sadness and anger that often accompanies relationship transitions, including breakups, divorce, loss of loved ones. I mean, this is like high-level stress, right? She has worked with hundreds of clients, both men and women, over the past several years, both privately and also numerous holistic health practices in South Florida. So this new book is coming out soon. We wanted it to be out sooner, but
I do,
yeah.
So what's the date?
but it's a process. I was planning for it to be out actually this month, but my editor said, let's not rush the process, so probably January. Yeah.
And so thank you very much for being here. We're
Thank
very
you.
honored. Thank you. And with regard to books, I'm very honored to also tell you that Master Teresa is now the #1 international book on relationships. Yeah.
No. Self-help, success, and motivation.
Yeah.
Nice.
So just #1 Canada, United States. It's going strong in Europe as well, and we're very excited. So we're in the company of some very, very accomplished, high-level people, and I thank you all so much for being here. So let's welcome them.
Let's thank them for putting this together.
So maybe I'll throw out the first question. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what happens if one partner in the relationship is going left and the other one is going right, and they've been together for a long time, and they just have totally different paths and views about the next step? So, Lourdes, please.
I'm sitting with it. I'm sitting with it because part of my work is alchemy, and that is supporting people that decide that they want to stay together, how to use connection and compassion and support, and how to alchemize the sexuality. Because sometimes people are separating because he did something that hurt her, and she pulled back and put a wall up, and then she did something that hurt him, and then he pulled back and pulled a wall up, and now they've got these walls that are becoming fortresses. And so there's this kind of like, well, I'm gonna just go my own way, and so are they going their own way because there's been so much pain, and they haven't known how to create alchemy in the bedroom, and they haven't known how to support each other in healing the wounds that show up in relationship that are from their childhood or even from past lives that are here to be healed. So that's the first thing that I would ask is, are they choosing to stay together? And if they're choosing to stay together, then let's look at how whatever is driving them apart can come to some sort of healing, in some sort of compassionate communication, forgiveness, processes of love, and expanding their abilities in the bedroom to connect heart to heart and soul to soul. If it's a 5-dimension, 3-dimension question where the one partner is really not interested in supporting the other partner in their growth or in supporting themselves in their own growth, and is like an anchor pulling the other partner down, well, then maybe they need to look at, do we stay together or do we split?
Thank you. I think sometimes reality has to be looked at as well, yeah?
Sure.
So, Deborah.
So I just wanted to say that I lived out in Los Angeles for a total of 10 years, but I was there 5 years one time, left for 10 years, and went back for 5 more years. And that kind of environment can be some of the most stimulating and exciting in the world, and it could also be the most devastating. Don't ever go out to Los Angeles looking to have a healthy, sexy relationship. Don't watch the movies and watch TV and think you're going to go out to Los Angeles like I did, and think you're going to go out there and pursue healthy and sexy relationships. So what I learned out there really quickly was, if you think people are going in a different direction here, you haven't been on LA freeways,
Yeah, I'm just going to.
where
LA
people are going this way, that way, this way, that way, this way, and then circling around. I mean, I feel so bad. I mean, I left because I knew my relationships were going to be very, very important to me, and I actually left twice because relationships out there were so difficult, and there were so many different directions that people were going. It was nearly impossible to be getting off the same ramp at the same time. I mean, there was no fixing it either. People were on different trips, fame, fortune, power. We think we're on different trips here. Add in fame, fortune, power, glory that they have out there. And it's nearly impossible to be in relationship there. We actually have it much easier here. Not trying to become famous actors and actresses and producers and things like that.
Why did you go back?
I went back because I really loved the business, and I went back with a lady this time who's now my wife, and it was a lot saner this time. I didn't enter into that freeway like I was the first time. This is not a good time to be popular with all these phones. Please, everybody turn their phones either off or your...
So Deborah, would you like to address the question?
I forgot.
Yes, I find that with myself as well as my clients over the last few years, there's so much growth going on, and but it doesn't always happen with both partners. And so because there's so much growth going on, usually one partner is growing, and of course we want it to be both partners together. And even from my own experience, I dragged my ex-husband with me everywhere I went, and he did grow. He kind of grew by force, but he did grow, and to the point where even now after my divorce, he's my best friend. And he wouldn't be my best friend if he wasn't raising his awareness constantly and moving into that fifth dimensional reality. However, in the process of the marriage, that isn't always true. And sometimes in a marriage you have one person with addiction, or you have one person with issues that they've never solved from their childhood. I always say this, I always say that I find it amazing, and I feel so blessed by seeing people who are happy in happy relationships. When you think that we take one partner from a dysfunctional family, and then we take another partner from a dysfunctional family, and we put them together and we put them in a house alone, and we say, go, now have a happy marriage, God bless you. And we're surprised when things are stressful and confusing and things start to fall apart or feel like they're falling apart. I love it when people like Lourdes are doing this kind of work, because sometimes it is a matter of that connection. It's just a matter of the sexual connection, or they've lost that emotional bond. But when it isn't that, as Lourdes mentioned, when it's maybe someone is moving into that fifth dimensional plane and in their being, and the other person isn't, and they're dragging them down, something's got to give. Something's got to give. I don't believe that divorce is failure. I never have. And I was not a child of divorce. I came from a very happy marriage. But I don't believe divorce is failure, especially in this day and age when everything is being lifted, when our whole being is being lifted. I believe that divorce very often, I'm not saying always, but very often is growth. And if it hasn't come from growth with one person, then one of those people is really going to grow by leaps and bounds afterwards. And that's usually where I end up working with clients, when they're going through that process and they're looking to forge more growth in their life, and they're trying to get out of that anger and sadness place.
Thank you for that. Master Teresa, from a Qigong standpoint, I mean, you've created a new program that has to do with heart Qigong, and your book is a reflection of that. Could you share with us what brought you to this point and how you feel it's made a difference for you and how you'd like to empower people with you?
Thank you. Well, everything said is right, and it's just beautiful information and just different ways of presenting it. We know that people, have awareness. They don't want to feel this way. They don't want to feel that way, but they don't know how not to feel this way or that way. That's why sex helps sometimes. But then the thing is how to get even, just how could it actually happen, right? Good job. So, but then I would say this way is how can you see the beauty of someone that you actually love when they were really difficult to be with? So you can only do that if you just really change the eyeglasses to see the beauty in that person when they were really upset or they're very angry or something. Then you actually feel it's worth your while to do something about it. But it's so difficult when you are just really that turmoil, right? To actually do it. That's when the energy of the qi is doing the work. Because the qi is the one that is peaceful, calm. So when you're peaceful and calm, then you see love. So when I do my clients, it was like this. They walk in a room and try to get out of attachment from someone they were not in a relationship for years. It's just right here. And then they come for detachment. So I come to energetically take the energy and dump it out for them. I really, basically it's taken out and dump it for them. And right after they see, well, I see love on him now. They were very angry at the time. No, I don't want that guy at all. No, but when I took that resentment out from them, they actually see the light in that person. It's just catching up all the years. When people practice energy work, it shortens the journey, trying to understand the lessons, right? The past life, because it's just energy. That's what this book is trying to explain to you. Explain doesn't work too. You have to experience it.
Yeah, I have a question. Fifth dimension. Can you describe the landscape, what it looks like, and how it's different from fourth and third? Because I'm not getting
Well, I have
what the
definitely.
fifth dimension is. Right.
Well, you want to say it too? Because
Yeah,
I don't
actually,
very.
when you're we've been in a third dimensional place.
All
And
of us, you say.
all of us. We're sitting in a third dimensional
Okay.
place. I mean, think about fear, and we came here for a reason. We came here because we wanted to have this experience. So here we are sitting in a third dimensional place, and there's a lot of fear around us, but many of us, all of us in this room, obviously, or you wouldn't be in this room, are starting to shift and say, wait a minute, there's more.
Yes.
And some of us have been working with this for a very long time, and some are just catching on. But you're seeing it more and more and more with people. And as you start to move to that fifth dimensional place, there's kind of a dimension in between. That's where, think in terms of vibration. So in the fifth dimension, in the third dimension, if we're thinking fear, and if we're thinking as we get higher, the ultimate is to get to love and bliss and happiness. There's all of these layers, all of these emotions in between. And that's kind of what we're going through as we're finally getting to a place where we're more heart-centered. we're more heart-centered, as opposed to living in that lower body center of pain and fear and emotion, and I need money to live, and you know what I mean?
But we're flip-flopping.
Yeah, we're
Because-
growing. We're
Yes.
actually raising our awareness, and it really is a rising of awareness. So what happens is sometimes in a relationship, one person is really consciously wanting to raise their awareness, and they're doing everything they can to do that, and the other partner is feeling like not really, like they're still in the place of, I want to watch the news, I want to drink my beer, I want to, or my wine or whatever, and I want to live my life the way it is. I'm not worried about that. That's where sometimes relationships get those, those pulls. Many of us got together when we were in our 20s, and we had no clue of who we were going to become. And then all of a sudden, we're both growing up, and then there's this disconnect, and we wonder, well, who is this person? Like, how come they're not moving with me? Or that the other person is saying, why is he or she moving away from me? So a lot of times it's just because one person is really thinking in terms of raising their vibration.
Well, I mean, I understand that energy shifts in the level. And I lived with my brother, who was described by a shaman as one of the highest spiritual beings he ever met, and he was a criminal. I mean, and a drug addict and a drug smuggler. And he's changing, but he's supposed to be one of the highest spiritual beings that the shaman ever met, and yet he's not really, he's trying. This conference, I can never get him coming. So how can he be a high spiritual being and be, his mind is still so fixed?
We don't know what he came into this life to do. We don't know how, we have no idea what his journey was in this lifetime, what he chose to become in this lifetime, and why. Was it to affect other beings around him?
Sometimes it's to be the best teacher. Sometimes when someone is a person who makes the most mistakes, he can be the best teacher for a lot of people and
That's
for
very good,
himself.
because I can see the benefit in myself in a way, because he challenges, he's so full of anger and resentment that he challenges mine, and I have to go, meaning that he's in a sense lifting me up, but I would like him to rise as well, but I don't know that's ever going to
Yeah,
happen.
we can't. All we can do is continue to hold the fifth dimensional, and I'll speak a little bit more of that. The third dimension is also this time-space reality. It's the belief that anything that you can't hear or see or touch doesn't exist. But it's also the matrix that this world is being drawn into by evil forces, which has to do with fear, and it has to do with separation, and it has to do with judgment, and with seeing this is the most important thing, and everybody else is not connected to me. So there's that piece. And so when we rise into the fifth dimension, there's a compassion, there's an energetic connection, there's an understanding that we're all one, and that our job is to support ourselves in continuing to rise higher, and to support everyone else around us in rising higher. And so, and yet, all I could do for a person like that is to still live in my compassion, is to still live in my sense of acceptance of this person, of non-judgment of this person, and allow them to, whenever they're ready with whatever they're grappling with, to come to their own sense.
How can he be a spiritual person and he's so involved on the third? He's really, just what you
I'm going to
described.
explain it the other way. So while we know we are in the third dimension, we got that part. So what is, when do people meditate here? Okay. Sometimes people meditate, they saw faces, right, in their meditation. So that would be the fourth dimension. That's what came up as the fourth dimension. So that's why they were there, because they are just hanging around. They're in the fourth dimension. And sometimes they scare you, right? They're in the fourth. So when we do the Qigong, the Qigong is very high vibration, very peaceful, blissful, So we actually go into the fifth dimension when doing Qigong. So what the benefits for you to know is we're jumping over the fourth dimension. So that's, maybe people don't understand why they have to do Qigong. You don't have to meet the fourth dimension. In the, those spirits, that nasty one, you don't meet them because you jump over the vibration. When you are going through vibration, you're walking through the vibration, right? No different. We all do that. But as I keep moving into the high vibration faster, I don't have to meet them. So I don't need to see them, don't have to feel them, because I just jump over. But while people are not doing the energy way, in that way, they will have to meet them a little bit here and there. And then while they're going through the meeting, it's really painful and scary. But I don't want you to know, you didn't want Qigong with that, And then you just feel so peaceful, then you don't meet those spirits anymore. If you talk about the spiritual side. Yeah.
You were talking about different landscape,
Yeah.
as if, the physical mind wants there to be a physical change and someplace that looks more colorful and more alive, and it's not like that. It can be, but for me it is, and Lori said it so beautifully when she just spoke, it's literally shifting from only this view. The only shift would be to look at things differently, to be willing to look at things without pain, without insisting on there be frustration, without heartache. And to me, when you have, the very, very first question you came up with is when you're with someone and you seem to be going in a different direction. I believe that if you're with someone, that there's a karmic thing going on
Yes.
for you to teach each other certain things. It's not about, I'm only going to be here when it's easy and fun and sexy. That's not really what, deeper relationships are about. Deeper relationships are most likely about hanging in there when things get difficult. Not because, you love them more or they love you, because that's when the bigger tests are. And we came here to be tested. We're not victims of our relationship. We came here to be tested by the people that we're with. And it's not always sweet. It's not always kind. And I have the same thing with my wife. Sometimes I just want to leave. And I say to myself, well, you know what? I'm learning something from this. And I can either run away and go look for a completely different body. But, when you get to a certain age, you realize that you're in it for the lessons, and for the kindness, and for the sweetness. And it's not for running away and wanting it to be like, as if it's going to be perfect with somebody else.